And I'd like to just welcome you all to the Will County Substance Abuse Prevention Coalition's Parent and Youth Forum. Before we get anywhere, we need to hear something. And we're going to hear it from a wonderful, beautiful lady. It is our national anthem sung by Miss Dawn McGovern.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous night, for the rampart we watched were so gallantly gleaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Woo, that was awesome. Let's give her another round. Okay, and now I'd like to introduce our Master of Ceremony. It is no more than our great Sheriff of Will County. Sheriff Mike Kelly is a 29-year veteran of the Will County Sheriff's Office. Throughout his term as sheriff, he has proven to be the proponent in the fight against substance abuse. He was instrumental in his support for this coalition, has recently added also the Hidden in Plain Sight trailer, which you probably saw parked out there. And Sheriff Kelly is a father of 3 boys who graduated from Lockport High School, and also all 3 played in football. Sheriff Kelly feels sports programs and other youth organizations were key in keeping himself as well as his kids in the straight and narrow pathway to success. So let me introduce to you our moderator for this evening, Will County Sheriff Mike Kelly.
That sounds good when someone else is talking about you, right? Thank you, Jerry. Couple thank yous, obviously, to Lincoln High School for hosting this great evening. To their principal, their superintendent, their school board, everybody that we worked with to arrange this. Special thanks to Cherry Powell and Bonnie McPhillips from the coalition who organizes pretty much the coalition, and all the volunteers that are on the coalition. We couldn't do this without you, so thank you very much. This is our second event. As you know, last year we did one at Joliet West High School. We plan on doing 1 or 2 of these every year, just to try to get the message out to the youth and parents of what the trends are out there and what we're seeing in this field. And to have thanks to our special guests for being here to tell their story. Obviously, they're the main reason why we're here, to hear them speak. So without further ado, I will introduce the first speaker. You know him as your Will County State's Attorney, James Glasgow.
Thank you, Mike. We changed that to our Will County, sure. State's Attorney. Anyway, we've got a tremendous panel here today. I know Roger Powell personally, known him since he was a young man, and Jerry Powell's son. And he's an example of what good family structure, good parenting can do. There isn't a finer young man that I know that's growing up in Joliet. And he's also part of one of the greatest University of Illinois basketball teams of all time. And being a University of Illinois alumnus, that came within a whisker of winning the NCAA title. And then he played professional ball in the NBA also. And now he's a college coach, and he's going to have a fabulous career. I'm waiting for him to get his first big head coaching job, and we'll be following him. I got a little prop here I brought here today about Aquafina water, and it's something that when I first saw it, I was blown away, because all you do is you just twist it and you pull it, and you can put your drugs or your computer stuff and hide it from your parents in plain view right in your dresser in your bedroom. And I'm not doing this so I'm educating the kids. They already know about this. But every product that we see in the store, if you go on the internet, you can find a dummy that you can buy that and fill your room with them. I mean, I saw one with deodorant. They got the little wax deodorant in the top, and then you pull the bottom out, it's all hollow. So the poor, you see, we've got the mobile bedroom out there. So it's not just going in and looking. You gotta check everything that's in there. It's sad. If we could, we would loan you a drug dog that can go and sniff everything out, but it's not possible. But you're literally saving your children from themselves, and that's your job as a parent. We tend sometimes, and I'm guilty of it myself. I'm not the greatest disciplinarian. It's kind of ironic. I'm the state's attorney, but at home I'm a softie. But that doesn't always pay off. So you got to put your foot down now, because the drugs that are out there today are so deadly, and also so addictive. Heroin, any one of us that's here tonight, if we tried heroin, we wouldn't be able to stop. It's that addictive. And there was a movie, and I don't know if anybody here would remember The French Connection, but it was about Popeye Doyle, who was this incredibly strong investigator with the New York Police Department. Nobody could, he was the toughest guy in the world, nobody could do anything to him. But in the second version of that movie, he's captured by the cartel, the drug cartel, and they duct tape him to a chair, and they shot him up with heroin. All he did, he became a sniveling addict, just begging for more. This is the indomitable spirit crushed by this drug. Now, in the movie, of course, he escapes, gets clean, comes back, gets the bad guys, but that doesn't always happen in real life. But what I'm saying is we reclassified the addiction to heroin from just a criminal offense to an illness. This is an epidemic, and when you use heroin, your rational thought processes are not the same. So if you're a parent, you can't count on your kids' normal behavior to save them, because that's gone. They're an automaton. They don't have control over their own destiny. And our drug court has been really phenomenal. But the thing with our drug court that's not available to the general public is we arrest you. We lock you up. We lock you up for 6 months so that you dry out. I had one addict come up to me at drug court graduation and say, you know, it was 2.5 months in the Will County Jail before the fog lifted, and I started to remember who I was and even cared whether I lived or died. 2.5 months. So when we're looking at these inpatient programs that are 30 days or whatever, coming in they're hot, and in 30 days they're not ready to go back out there. But the cost, you could pay $30,000 a month for those kind of treatments. The average person can't do it. So it's so critical that we get to our children and make sure they don't use it for the first time. On the party scene, they started saying, well, if you snort heroin and you smoke it, you're not an addict. You're only an addict if you inject it. If that stuff enters your body, you're going to be an addict. And because it's so potent, it is something that you can snort and smoke, which it wasn't that way in the past. And then you throw in Oxycontin. Everybody heard of Oxycontin? This is the poison that started this whole downward slide. Early 2000s, it was invented, and it turned out to be an incredibly profitable drug for Purdue Pharmaceutical. And in 2007, a U.S. attorney in Virginia brought a lawsuit against Purdue and wound up getting a $635 million fine against the company because they deliberately lied about the addictiveness of the drug. And then they went out and they curried favor with the doctors and lied to them and said that it wasn't addictive, it had long-term results for reducing pain. Well, after about 3 months, you just start needing more and more to the point where it's going to kill you. So that happened, $635 million. You think that would get a company's attention, right? But their profits were in billions. So they paid it like a parking ticket. And then they went right back doing what they were doing. And sadly, the U.S. attorney that did that went into private practice, and now he's defending the pharmaceutical companies. That's the one wrinkle in our system that I wish would not happen. But all of the people we sent to Washington, D.C. then, for the last decade after that, as we know, didn't do anything to stop the continued proliferation of Oxycontin and all the drugs like it. And you wonder, how can that happen? Well, there's an article that I'd be glad to provide every one of you. It's written by a lady named Kathleen Friddle, and she documents how it happened. How all of these people in Washington, they're all in it for the money. No matter who got appointed to head the FDA, who got appointed to head the DEA, who got appointed whatever, they had connections to other people that got people that looked the other way. The U.S. attorney, at one point, was the guy who worked for Purdue Pharmaceutical before he got appointed to be U.S. attorney. So, it's the rooster in the hen house. That's basically Washington, the rooster in the hen house, and we're seeing it right now. All these elected officials, their wives have jobs that they benefit off of what the other guy's doing and vice versa, and that's not supposed to be. We don't have those kind of conflicts here at the local level. We religiously avoid them. But at the federal level, it's a whole different story. So hopefully, right now, I filed a lawsuit against Purdue Pharmaceutical on behalf of Will County, and so did DuPage County, Kane County, Lake County, and it's happening across the nation. So they've been hit with thousands of lawsuits now because we can't rely on the federal government to protect us. So we're doing it at the local level. And we're like a bunch of ants at a picnic just going after them. And we're gonna make a difference. We're gonna stop it. But so much of the damage has been done, and we're doing nothing to stop. We're completely ineffective as far as stopping the heroin coming in from Mexico. And I hear all this talk about a wall or this or that. Well, how about we talk to the Mexican government about you're sending poison into our country to kill us? That's the biggest threat that I see from Mexico. We need to have that stopped. So I don't know if that's going to happen. It's something beyond our power here locally, but hopefully that's in the works with this new NAFTA deal and some of the other things that's happening. The bottom line is we control our own destiny in our own homes, and it requires every parent to be more vigilant, to become educated about all the new stuff that's out there. I'm 67 years old. When I was a kid, I didn't know anything. I had access to nothing. I was a child. I used my imagination. My parents always knew more than I do. Now kids, they think they know more than we do. The problem is when you process information, if you don't have life experiences, maturity, and education to process it, most of the adults here could see a violent movie and not have any compunction afterwards to go hurt somebody because we could put it in the right place in our minds. But when children see that, it becomes part of their personality, part of their judgment, and that's why some of these terrible tragedies are happening around the country that we've never seen before. So, one of the other problems is, see how empty this place is? You've got these wonderful speakers here that are going to impart a lot of knowledge, and unfortunately there's very few ears to hear it, and that's something we've got to work on too. And I promise you we'll do that in the future. But thank you for everyone that's here, and the young lady that just sang. I always wished I could kind of sing, but to sing a cappella like you just did is truly a gift from God. So it was a great start to this event, and I'm anxious to hear what the other speakers have to say. And thank you so much for coming tonight.
All right, our next speaker is our Will County Coroner, Pat O'Neill.
Sheriff Kelly's been with the Sheriff's Department for 29 years, correct, Mike? I've been with the Will County Coroner's Office for 27 years, and I would have never imagined being right here in New Lenox, Illinois, outside of the big city limits of Chicago, speaking about heroin addiction or opiate addiction. We have celebrity speakers, myself, the state's attorney, representatives of the Sheriff's Department, and I'm certain they're probably thinking the same thing. Why are we here in New Lenox talking about the dangers of opiate and more specifically heroin? So what can we take away from this experience is that heroin, it does not discriminate. Heroin and the drug dealers don't care how much money you have or how little money you have. It's not a big city problem anymore. We have promising athletes, scholar students, businessmen, housewives, celebrities, and even grandparents all die from heroin-related overdose right here in Will County. More than 600 people have died from heroin addictions in Will County over the past 20 years, and the numbers continue to escalate. We recorded a record high 85 heroin and heroin-related overdoses last year, and this year we're on pace to surpass that number. Heroin and its synthetic substitutes are everywhere. They're in every city, every township in our county. Heroin's life-saving antidote, Narcan, is available to the public for the first time. It's available to law enforcement and paramedics, and those officials are administering this life-saving drug on a daily basis in our county. So what does that mean? What does that tell you? It tells me that we have the potential just here in Will County to have a heroin-related overdose every single day, one or more. In Cook County, that is a problem. I believe that they recorded between 600 and 700 heroin overdoses in Cook County last year. Their numbers dwarf ours. And it's not just a problem for Cook County or Will County or Lake or DuPage, it's everywhere. My colleagues in Southern Illinois, in small little Madison County or Belleville, Illinois, or Springfield are all having the same epidemic number of proportions as we're having here in Will County. I would have never thought that we, at the coroner's office, would have to carry this antidote, this Narcan antidote, but the new heroin that's available out there, if a first responder or a coroner investigator came in contact with some of the new synthetic heroines, it's so powerful that just breathing it or touching it could end up becoming a fatality. That's how potent the new heroin is. Heroin, as Mr. Glasgow mentioned, is also responsible for a series of other problems. How about all the robberies? Has anyone ever had their car broken into in their driveway? Sunglasses missing, maybe Bluetooth, even the change that you keep in the cup holder. Anyone ever have that happen to them? Heroin's cheap, $5 to $10. It's cheaper than a movie and a bag of popcorn. How about all the shootings? How about all the homicides? It's no coincidence. I believe all these crimes are precipitated by heroin. And the flow of heroin into our country, into our state, has reached unprecedented levels. The coroners see what we learned from the deceased can help those that are still alive. So we report on these statistics. We were the first ones really to probably raise the flag and say, hey, there's a problem out there with heroin. So just the alarming numbers that coroners are reporting with fatalities has reached the highest level of our government. Even in the 2016 presidential debate, some of the questions were about what are you going to do about the heroin epidemic? So it's all the way to the top. But please remember, ladies and gentlemen, that heroin addiction is a disease. It's a chronic condition. It has to be interrupted. It has to be treated and prevented. A good starting point is to make the right decisions. Students need to make the right decisions on who they hang out with, and the parents need to be vigilant on who their children's friends are. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak with you this afternoon.
The number 3 speaker tonight is Roger Powell, Jr.
All right, there we go. It's a little bit better. I feel far away from y'all. First of all, I'm super excited to be. Y'all mind if I sit down right here? All right, perfect. I'm super excited to be back here. Lincoln Way means a lot to me. They did beat me my senior year in a super sectional game, but I'm not going to hold that against this region. But this is home for me. This is home for me. And Alonzo and I were talking about how, we had so many battles here, playing against each other when he was at Lockport. Guys that played for Lincoln Way, Kevin Menard, James Augustine, my teammate in college. So, when I come back to this area, it means a lot because it has a lot of memories. And, every time my mom asks me to come back and speak, I say I have to do it because this is my home. And the kids walking through these hallways, the kids in Joliet, the kids in Lockport, those are kids that have grown up the same way I did. And when I think about what's actually happening in my area, in my home, the things that these kids are seeing, the things that these kids are being faced with, it's very serious. It's very serious to me because, I care about it. It's not just a statistic to me. It's something that's real. It's something that really hurts my heart. So, for me to get on the plane and come here, during a college coach preseason, which we are extremely busy, it's nothing because this is really what God gave me the opportunity to do. The reason I'm a coach, the reason I play professional basketball, the reason I have a platform is to be able to inject change. And if I'm not doing that, then what am I doing? Why do I have the gifts I have? I'm wasting them. And, I was speaking at an event in Nashville, and it was, a group of fans. And they were asking me about my upbringing and about the ministry that I started when I was in college, or when I graduated from college. And they said, how do you think we can change the drug problems, the gun problems that are happening in Chicago? Because he knew I was from this area. And I thought about it, and I said, man, that's a really, really, really big question because it's a massive problem. And as we have heard, there's a lot of kids dealing with it. But the thing that came to me was really profound, and it really challenged me. One kid at a time. One kid at a time. And some of you may look and think, man, there's not a lot of kids in this room. But that doesn't matter. Because if one kid hears something that is impactful, and if one kid has his destiny changed from this evening, from one of these speakers, if one kid is saved, that's all that matters. Because that one kid has an opportunity to do something special. That one kid has an opportunity to be great. And then maybe that one kid can go change someone else. So it definitely changed my perspective. I look at things a little differently. I grew up in a family. I had a mom and a dad. You know, I was blessed with that. I had a lot of support. Obviously, I grew to be 6'6", so that helped playing basketball. But, you know, a lot of times people may think, you know, drugs, gangs, violence, it only happens in single-family homes. That's not right. That's not true. You see, I'm a firm believer that there is an enemy that wants to destroy every young kid in this room. There was a little baby right there. He was so precious. He's not here anymore. But I was just looking at that little baby and just thinking to myself, man, what is God going to do with that young man? That little baby right now, he's just so innocent. The world is on his shoulders. He has so much vision, so much purpose. But yet there's an enemy that is assigned to that baby that's not here any longer. There's an enemy assigned to that baby to destroy everything that God prepared for that baby. And that's true for our teenagers. That's true for young adults. There's an enemy. And that enemy wants to destroy everything that God has created us to do. So I want to challenge not just the kids in this room, I want to challenge the parents in this room. You know, I have 2 kids at home. They're raised pretty good. My wife, we try to do our best job. But you know what? If I just focus on my 2 kids in my home, I'm being really selfish. I'm being really selfish. Because there are other individuals outside of the confines of my home that need to hear some stuff, that need to have some mentors, that need to be challenged. And I want to challenge everyone in here. 1 kid, 1 person. Get uncomfortable. Get uncomfortable. And help fight this thing. Because every child, I believe this, every child has a purpose. Every child has a vision. And it's going to take a lot of people to help that child achieve that. And it starts with us. If you live here in this area, if you're not being uncomfortable to try to change all these kids dying from drugs, I want you to think about that. I want you to challenge yourself. And for the young men in this row, how old are you? 16, how about you? 16? 16. That's awesome. What grade? Juniors. What do you want to do? What do you want to do beyond high school? You don't know yet. It's going to be. You want to play basketball? I see you got IMG Academy. You ever been to that place? That place is amazing. Tennis. Oh my goodness, that's awesome. How about you? Huh? Rides horses? Y'all amazing. I rode a horse one time and I was too big and the horse didn't move. It's like, get off me. How about you? How about you in the back? They answer all the questions. How old are you in the green shirt?
Me, I'm a freshman. I'm 14.
Freshman. Oh my goodness. I remember when I was a freshman at Joliet West. Wow. Man, you guys got so much promise ahead of you. How about you? I talked to you before. You asked me a question about your jump shot. What grade are you in? Sophomore. You have any idea what you want to be? Basketball player. You know what? You guys have so much ahead of you. You do. And it's sad because you're in an environment where there are things that's trying to stop that. I challenge you. I challenge you. Go against the norm. I challenge you to be an example. I challenge you to speak out against stuff. Speak out against stuff. And don't allow the enemy to stop what God has for you. All right? And then secondly, like I said, every time there's something like this and I can make it, I'm coming. Because I'm gonna be uncomfortable to impact change. And like I said, if one person has changed, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Y'all with me? Amen. Thank you.
All right, our next speaker is Pamela McGee.
All people need the mic. I'm extremely honored to be here. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Pamela McGee. I'm the first WNBA mom to have a son and a daughter in the WNBA as well as the NBA. My son is JaVale McGee. He won 2 rings with the Golden State Warriors and now we're a Los Angeles Laker. I apologize for coming in late. I just left Atlanta. My daughter is in the semifinals with the Atlanta Dream. Her name is Amani McGee Stafford. and I am a Hall of Famer and a 1984 Olympic gold medalist, and I'm also the National Secretary to Mothers of Professional Basketball Players. We just had our annual conference, and so I've been crazy busy, but Miss Sherry Powell is our chaplain for our Mothers of Professional Basketball Players. She said, Pam, I need you to come talk to my people. And so because we got that relationship, I said, okay, Sherry, I'll come. But unbeknownst to her, I've worked for 25 years in drug and rehabilitation. When I was in Flint, Michigan, I'm born and raised in Flint, Michigan, and my mom had a stroke years ago. And after playing basketball, I had to go back home to take care of my mom. And a dear friend of mine said, well, since you're home, let me give you a job. Why don't you work as a marketing director for the Flint Odyssey House? The Flint Odyssey House is the first treatment center in Flint, Michigan that would take care of pregnant addicts who wanted to take care of their children. And when he offered me the job, I said, his name is Ronald, we're best friends, and 25 years I would always go back, and he said, I need you to come talk to my people. And I would say, well, Ronald, you know, I'm not really into drugs, that's not my thing. I got 99 problems, but that just happens not to be one. But he would say, Pamela, my people need to see a champion. And the way you champion your life to be an Olympic gold medalist, to be a Hall of Famer basketball is the same way you fight addiction. And our people need to hear a word from you. And so 25 years later, I was the first marketing director. Who my mentor was Dr. Denson-Gerber. She was a fluent white female who started the first heroin addict addiction programs. When you see all the addiction programs, and she was the one that wrote it. She was not only a psychiatrist, but also an attorney. She took 7 addicts off the street who said, I no longer want to do heroin, I don't want to take methadone. We want to create a program that we can change our lives. And so I was the first person to actually put her program into action. And so I would go and I told my director, I said, you know, it's not enough because it was a life-changing program. I said, I don't want to just go see the addicts from 9 to 5. I said, I want to live in the center. So that when I write the program, I'll know exactly what each and every one, what you do in order to really change your life. And to be honest with you, those ladies saved my life. Because to fight addiction it's a whole nother element. And what Dr. Denson-Gerber, her theory is that all addicts come from another level of pathology of mental illness. And 80% of people who are in our center suffer from some type of mental illness, and they use drugs to self-medicate. And that's the depth of her knowledge about addiction. But so when I went through the program with these women, and I still go back, and I stay on the center because Dr. Denson-Gerber, one of the issues that she has, she says, I want to live with the addicts. So although she was very wealthy, she was a psychiatrist, she worked with different people, and she was my mentor, and she would always come to the rehab center and live on site. So in order for me, she passed maybe 5 years ago, and so whenever I go back to Flint, Michigan, I actually stay in the rehab center. They have my own room, and they call it the Dr. Denson-Gerber room. And the reason why I do that, and even though I'm a high-profile athlete, many of my family members said, well, why would she want to stay with crackheads? She must be on drugs. But the issue was, I'm not on drugs. Drugs is not my issue. But the fact is, we have to eliminate the stigma of addicts, because addiction comes in all kinds of shapes and sizes. Your addiction might be shooting heroin in your arm. Your addiction you might can't get up from the plate. Your addiction may be irresponsible relationships. Another issue that we're dealing with on the drug addiction format is also sexual addiction. We can no longer allow people to get through sexual addiction. We see a lot of domestic violence. Most of the women that come to our center, they're affected by all of those, are all in the same barrel. But the issue is we all have a choice. And what I learned from those women is that when we live deep down in our sides and honor a higher power than ourselves. And I know many people aren't religious, but I recognize with those people, if you don't acknowledge the true creator, my Lord and Savior is Jesus Christ. And I've never seen anybody that get clean and get their life together unless they have a spiritual connection with the Creator. And I just encourage young people, there's some things and some doors you just don't need to open. For me, I never used drugs or alcohol because I had a vision. I had a mother. she spoke into my life, and she said at one point in your life, she was a teenage mother that had twins at the age of 17. And she used to speak into my life. She said, one day, I know I can't afford to send you to college, but one day they're going to start giving girls players full ride scholarships to college. It had never been done before. I'm one of the first people who got a scholarship in the I graduated from high school in 1980. That was the first time when AIAW switched over to NC2A. And I could have basically went to any university I wanted to. I got recruited by Princeton, Harvard, Stanford, any college. But the reason why I could get in, because I made sure I had grades. I never wanted somebody to tell me, no, you can't do it. So if they said I needed grades, I said, okay, I'm going to be a straight-A student. They said, you want to be an All-American? And I said, what I got to do to be an All-American? I set the standard. And parents, I'm telling you, with our children, we have to give them purpose. Because when you have purpose, you don't want to do drugs. And I know parents, I have 2 kids, one is 30, one is 24, and believe me, they still need us. And what I would encourage parents and with your children, I'm really working with the mothers of professional basketball players, because we, as especially African American women and women of color, of all mothers, we are the gatekeepers. And some kind of way we lost our way, but mothers are the gatekeepers. And once we take control of our gate, our households, we're the ones that speak into our children's life. And I know my mother has gone to be with the Lord, but there's some things that I just will not do because I still hear her voice. I say I'm Diane McGee's daughter. There's some things that I tell my son and my daughter. I say, you can't do certain things because you Diane McGee's grandchildren. We have to give our children purpose and destiny. And then we got to start teaching our children what I tell parents now that my kids are growing and what I'm doing with my grandkids. Start giving them solutions. I was a hovering mother. You know, I hovered over everything. I went to all the basketball games. I went to all the student conferences. I went to every single game. I went to every single practice. But I realize now that my children are fine because I was that type of mother. I was a single parent, and I'm blessed that both my children went to college free. A full scholarship, and now both of them are self-employed, and I just praise the Lord that my daughter, after my son got his mini contracts, and my daughter called me, I was sending her money in college. I was sending her about $600 every month, and she sent me, she called me and said, Mom, would you tell the bank not to send me any more money? I said, what you mean? She says, Mom, I got a job. I got this. And then I sent her another check for $600. I said, baby, that's a bonus because you a boss, just to tell me you got this. So I'm just telling you as a mother, take control of your household. Talk to your children. And no matter, millennial children say they're not hearing you, they hear you. Keep praying and preaching to them and keep speaking into their life. Because even though my kids would always say, Mama, you this, you crazy, you doing too much, I still hear they still hear my voice when they want to do something that's not right. And as we fight this battle against drug addiction, each one of us have to fight. And I mean, I've made an apology to the hood, and I made an apology to the African American community. Because the reason why America is not the America that we all worked for, built for, died for, is because I sat in my big house, I sat in my Mercedes, and I had worked hard. My children were young. I worked 2 or 3 jobs to make sure both my children could go to private school. I remember living in a hotel for $600 a month because I knew that was one bill to pay for private school. I made those kind of sacrifices. So once my son got drafted, I'm going to be real with you. I sat in my big house, drove my big car, and wore my suits and shoes. And I said, I did all my work. I can sit back and be quiet. But I'm here to tell you that it's now God is calling disciples of faith. Disciples of faith. I don't care if you're Muslim, I don't care if you're Catholic, I don't care if you're Zen. He's calling disciples of faith. Because all our faith says, do unto others as you have them do unto you. Love your neighbor as yourself. And as people try to separate us because of our color, because of what we believe, because of our religion, love will make the difference. You have to teach your children to be good people and let their life symbolize good people. Because when you make a choice to hear from the Creator and live for God, you understand you don't want to do drugs because God has given you a destiny, given you a purpose. And I'm telling you, parents, keep loving on your children, keep speaking into their life, And God is going to hold you accountable for their lives. I've always said that I've always been a mother first, and that my first ministry goes to these babies that God gave on loan to me. As my first ministry. My first ministry is a mother. And so I'm honored to be here, and I'm just telling you that the fight becomes with each and every one of us. You have to work in your neighborhood first, you work in your household, then your neighborhood, then your community. It's no longer sitting back being complacent. It's a lot of work to be done. Thanks for having me.
Drug enforcement coordinator for 4 years, and I was the president of the Illinois Drug Officers for 10 years after that. And the reason I point that out to you is I organized presentations exactly like this. I was a panelist on panels like this, and I have never seen a better, more impactful panel put together than what we have here tonight. And I can't thank you all enough for being here. I can't thank you enough.
Hello, my name is Bob Watson. I have a son that started smoking marijuana in high school, and I'm kind of a sad story. He graduated into mushrooms, and I'm not really sure of all the drugs that he did, but he ended up committing suicide when he was 22 years old. And I think that's not something that would wake people up. He was a perfectly normal boy all the way up through high school. And we pray for him a lot, and we miss him a lot, and that's what can happen when, what did you call it? What is it? The trap, the big trap. Remember that trap, because it can get you. And it's not just about bringing your family down, it's not about anything other than your own life and what it will do to you. But who wants to hurt their family too? Thank you all for doing what you're doing. Thank you very much.
Especially in the northern neighborhoods, are you guys reaching out to like the elementary schools so they can change their ideas at an early age? That all law enforcement are not against minorities, because with these negative views that we get, are you guys reaching out to the elementary schools? I mean, it's fine, high school is fine too. But are you reaching out to the younger kids, trying to help them to get to understand that they can make it too, that all law enforcement is not against them?
We reached out to all the elementary schools, a lot of the elementary schools we are, and this coalition is going to be absolutely trying to incorporate those elementary schools. As we go to each high school, we're going to try to get the feeder elementary schools involved in these type of events as well. So yes, we have been doing that, and that's part of our goal going forward with this grant. It's like Jerry said, we just were successful in getting that $1.25 million grant for the next 5 years to keep stuff like this going, to keep this coalition going, and that's seriously due to the hard work and dedication that most of these people that are in this coalition, have to this cause. So yes, we are to answer that question. Yes.
Also, the Joliet Police Department, their neighborhood policing, they've got an annual summer camp that they run, and it's called TAC, Police and Children Together, and the whole purpose is for the children to see the policemen as human beings and interact. They take them fishing, take them to the zoo, they do all different kinds of activities where they really bond. And they were fishing out at the Scrubland Speedway. I guess there's a pond out there that they only let the racers fish in, and it just stopped. So the kids were catching fish left and right, and it was a game changer for some of those kids. They'd never gone fishing before. And so we're looking at, unfortunately this year they had to give the poles back, but we're going to look and see if we can get Dick's or Walmart or somebody to donate those fishing poles. Because I think it would be significant for those kids to be able to take those fishing poles home and go fishing on their own. But there's I'm sure the sheriff's got programs like that too, where the officers are getting to know the kids in the neighborhood, so
part of our program at Blackboard is we teach the GREAT program, which stands for Gang Resistance Education and Training. And the title's a bit deceiving because we don't sit there and talk about gangs, what they do, who they are. We already know that. Most of it is geared towards the bullying aspects, making good decisions, controlling our anger, helping to control others' anger. So that's kind of the basis for that elementary based program. And we kind of got away from the DARE program, which is a great program, but we got away from that in Lockport. Back in 2008, we implemented the GREAT program because of our school-age children. We found more bullying was a huge issue in our schools. Unfortunately, the drug issue came back full circle just a couple of years ago, but we have the GREAT program that we do. We also have National Night Out Against Crime. I know Joliet, Will County, a lot of police departments are now being involved. It's a nationwide event, and this is a great opportunity for the police officers and the community to join one, mingle, talk to each other. We just had, for an example, we just had last week a lady come in and specifically ask for one of our officers. She was having a domestic issue, but the reason why she asked for that officer was because she just had a general conversation with this officer at the National Night Out, and she felt comfortable enough to walk in to talk to him at that point. And that's really what we're trying to do. And I think it's not just necessarily the community, it's the police officers as well. And we need to sit back and kind of think of what our action in relationship with the community and how we act. That's our responsibility too. Absolutely. So we're trying to change that as well.
Doors are open for help. They're not only here to put you in jail. You're going to go to jail if you don't follow the rules or if you're a repeat offender. But they're here to help you before you get into this situation. It's another avenue when you cannot speak to your mother or to your teacher for whatever reason. They are here. This is a perfect example of these people that are here in uniforms to indicate to you that they're not only here to help you or put you in jail and what we see on television, they're here to assist you in a lot of different ways. You would be shocked if you took the time to acknowledge that you see this interaction going on in your schools, in your neighborhood, and how impressed these people would be if you came through their doors and say, I need help. How do I approach this situation? It's just another avenue. And as a parent of 3 young men, and I was like this lady right here, I was like Parent McGee, I was on my boys because I didn't want them to become a statistic. I was afraid of that. I grew up on the west side of Chicago, drug infestation in my family. However, it was a deterrent for me. I'm not big on alcohol, but it was a deterrent for me. And I made sure that my children understood what the consequences would be. So parents, when you're talking to your children, you know, give them your advice. Be as stern as you believe you're supposed to be with your children because you know them best. However, you need to make sure that the door is always open just in case they can't come to you. I was a single parent. I had 3 boys, 6'8", 6'7", and 6'3". When they got into puberty, they were standing over me. So you can imagine me trying to discipline these tall people, and it's one of me, and they have a community of peers who are doing exactly the opposite of what I'm trying to train them to do and to be. So that door also needs to be held open so that they can go and talk. I would encourage the parents, the few that are here, take this message back to your neighbors. Tell them about what the police department, the judicial department is doing. Let them know that this coalition is here, not just for these young people, but for these parents, because more parents should be involved. These are success stories. These are success stories. I'm a success story. But it takes a lot of work. Hard work and perseverance brings on great rewards. That's one of the things I told my children. If you fail to plan If you fail to plan, you plan to fail, and hard-working person. It don't come easy. This road saying no to your friends don't come easy. So you're going to be uncomfortable when you're in a setting that has alcohol or party or in the park somewhere. You guys know what y'all do now. I don't know what you do, but I can only imagine. But I'm just saying, it's not easy to say no. It's not easy to walk away. I'll give you a perfect example. My son was in high school in a private school that I was struggling to pay money for. And I go to a game and find out they got caught in some girl's house. Now, unbeknownst to me, I would never thought my child would be doing anything like that. However, the people that were involved, you have to handle that situation delicately. So I can't just go to my son and say, I don't want you hanging with that guy. You see what's happening? Because they're not going to be able to be relatable. That's my friend. He got in trouble. It's not me. So you have to handle it in a manner where it gives them the choice and the opportunity to say no. And fortunately, he didn't say no right away. He had to take time to distance himself from that situation because he understood that he didn't want to go down the line and get expelled from school. So you got to keep that kind of stuff in mind. And young people, your mother, these three right here, we know a whole lot more than you do. However, and we have expectations for you. And so, as your mother said, this is not something you had expected. Down the line, when you graduate, when you're in college, you're going to understand why your mother brought you here. You're going to understand why she says the things she said, because one, you're a little bit older, you can see for yourself, and you have a little bit more experience, and you hear her voice saying, that's not what you want to do. So keep that in mind, and parents, I strive you to reach out to these other parents because this is valid and important information to save your child's life. Because you don't know what door you may walk into, because the devil is always busy. Thank you.
This is also a great panel, and I would have loved to see this panel, in grade school when I was coming up at an auditorium or, during school hours. I would love to hear these stories. It probably would have changed some lives, at the school I went to, even in my life, And with the police involvement, Tuck can, he can agree that we had sheriffs that, come to the school and talk with their programs. I don't know if they still do their programs and everything. I still remember the guy's name. We had a different, outlook on police involvement in the police because this guy was just, cool and everything. So I don't know if they still do their or
The sheriff's office does not do DARE any longer. There's a whole lot of departments anymore that do DARE. Do you know, Chief?
There's a select few. Some of them have switched over to the great programming, resistance, education, training. Shorewood still does DARE, I know. I'm sorry?
I think Plainfield does.
Plainfield. So a couple still do DARE. But unfortunately, yes, that's kind of dwindling.
I have a question, please. I'd just like to know if there's been some things that have resonated with me, and I would like to be able to contact people, but is there any way that you can tell us how we can contact different ones, the coalition, Ms. Wade, or our parents need support as we're going through these things. We have a coalition website, and then we have a monthly meeting. It's the fourth Tuesday of every month, and it's at the sheriff's office, which is on Laraway Road. What's the address?
16911 Laraway Road.
And is Samantha out there? Did she leave? She's our website expert. She puts everything on there. We even have a Facebook account too. But if you go into the Will County, just put those alphabets in, WCSAPC, and then .org, you'll find all about us.
conclude our event for the evening. Again, I'd like to thank our special guests for being here. Appreciate you taking time and coming here and speaking to our